Tell me a little bit about how you felt at the end of that first round. I mean, it seemed like you had a little bit of struggles early on. You got cut, and it seemed like the blood around your eye was bothering you a little bit heading into the corner. What was going through your mind there?
Yeah, I didn't even really know it was blood. I thought I got poked at first, and then they told me in the corner it's a small cut, and I was like, oh, I'm cut. And it flashed through my mind, but at first I thought I got cut. And then, honestly, I felt like I just got my bearings going at the end. I landed a few body kicks at the very beginning, and then towards the end of the round, once we get in those scrambles, I come alive, so I felt like, oh, like I handled his best thing. I fell. He had a perfect opportunity to put me in his world of jiu-jitsu, had my back. We got in the scramble, and I was like, he's going to be tired from that. And I felt like I was just getting going, honestly. But I felt good in the first round, too. I was seeing everything. He's just, if you would look at his other fights, he is incredibly good in his last few fights at controlling the distance and just not backing up, but being very safe with the distance. Like right when you step in, steps back perfectly, enough to counter, which is important. He's not running, so he does have like counters and stuff too. But he was much improved as far as executing his distance and what he's good at. And then when we got in that scramble at the end, it was one of those things where I was like, I can't wait to go into the second round.
You do seem to have a great ability with scrambles there. You just never stop or accept a bad position. Is that something, do you look for those in order to tire other people out because you're confident you can out-scramble them?
I do. It's so weird. Like I had a split second where I was like he lifted me, and like I felt like I could have sprawled, and I was kind of like, we should go to the ground, and I was just like, let's go. So it's funny, my coaches, my teammates, everybody that trains with me, and I was telling the broadcast team before this, I'd say taking me down is like taking yourself down. And they're like, what does that mean? And I'm like, it means what it means. If you take me down, you're going to end up on bottom. And they're like, not with the jiu-jitsu black belt. And I was like, dude, trust me, like I'm just comfortable there. And that second takedown that he got, I ended up on top, through a scramble that I work all the time. So, yeah, to answer your question, it is something I look forward to, technically, to tire out. But it's such a state of mind. The scramble is like a state of mind. Like you build techniques as you get better. Like I know this position, but it's a state of mind of just like I'm not going to stop till I'm in a better position. And I'm typically able to do that with most people, end up in a better position, if not on top, at least up where they didn't score. So, yeah, like I said, it's just a state of mind that I'm like, don't hold a position on me.
And the Joey 2 times thing, is that something you...
I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry for that one.
I thought it was great.
Okay, cool.
I was wondering, did you come up with that beforehand and think, okay, if I'm going to get Henry Cejudo back down to flyweight, and if I'm going to get another fight with him, I need to be vocal about it. I need to figure out a way to turn it into a thing that he has to address.
The Joey 2 times wasn't necessarily that. So this started a while back when I fought Alex Perez. Just my coaches were calling me Joey 2 times because I had to they had that weird stoppage where I had to not stop him twice in the night. Remember the ref jumped in? So they're like, Joey 2 times they call you. And then my wife's Italian, so she loved it and started calling me that. And then the next fight I fought Dustin Ortiz. And then I was like, oh, I already beat him once. And then my coach was like, that's because you're 2 times. You got to beat him again. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's true. And then Formiga came on, and I was like, oh, my God. And if I fight him, then I have to – it's like a prophecy, like in the future, then I have to fight Cejudo. So it wasn't necessarily like to get the Cejudo thing, but we're just trying to be like goofy, I guess, and creative like that. It made sense prophecy-wise, I guess. Now it does too. But yeah, and we made fun for a call out but the call out, and the performances, I think, do the job itself. Like I'm not a guy, if you guys know me, with like a shtick or like hey, I'm gonna say this and compromise my whole like character to be somebody else. Like it was just a fun thing. The performances, I think, speak for themselves as far as getting a shot. The fact is, the guy's on top of the world. I beat him. Why wouldn't he want to come avenge a loss? Even in the state of the division. And the other division, which is bantamweight, I'm the fight that makes by far the most sense. And, that's really what's important, is the performances, because it's crazy. In these divisions, I love that it's like more sport because there's not like a crazy name right now, like jumping around. It's like, you know what? Let's bypass the best guys because we have like, a pay-per-view guy or something. Like, you have to fight the best guys right now. And at this moment, it's me and Cejudo. Even when we fought our last time, our 3-rounder, we were the 2 top guys, under Demetrius, and went to a hell of a fight. One of the hardest fights of my career, one of his hardest fights. And now, we'll get to do it for 5 rounds. And I know fans wanted that after that. So, yeah, I mean, all of it makes sense to answer your question.
Joey, 2-time.
Hey, buddy.
How you doing? Now, Henry Cejudo, he's obviously out with injury, maybe to the end of this year. What if he does not want to fight you and he wants to fight at bantamweight, or maybe even calls out someone like the winner of the featherweight title, between Max and Edgar?
It's crazy. I mean, I don't even think of that stuff. You can't control any of that. I'm doing my job. I can't control what he says, So what if he does? I think people will be like, what are you talking about? But you can't stop what somebody else is going to do. And I've realized that long enough in this sport. I've realized, like, man, I can't control what the hell everyone else is going to do. People are crazy. People want whatever different things. They think there's some, like, imaginary fight and title or something. So I don't know what the heck he's going to do. But I know his last call-outs didn't make sense. And I'm the only one that does make sense. And, I think the competitor in him and, hopefully even the company see that that's the fight to make, having the last win over him. And with this performance, 9 out of 10 in my 9 wins in my last 10. So, I mean, I can't really concern myself with that. I'm not going to go, hey, dude, you're scared if he does that, because I don't believe in that either. I don't believe someone like Cejudo would be scared of somebody. But, he's avoiding it for whatever reason. I mean, it was a hell of a fight the first time, and, I know it's hell in there.
But you've certainly earned a title shot. Would you want an interim belt if he's not there, or would you just hold out until he finally accepts a fight?
Yeah, I'd hold out. Yeah, I mean, at this point, he's in surgery. I mean, I've sat out months before. I've had ACL surgery 18 months. I've gone in between fights active 10 months, and that was just for a fight because, there wasn't opponents. In this case, the opponent I want, there's a huge prize there, and it's the fight to make. What, I got to wait 4 or 5 months, I think he said, till he can fight? That's nothing. I've fought pretty recently with the Perez, Ortiz in this fight, 3 times already in the last 6 months. So if I have to, 3 times since December. So if I have to wait for a surgery to fight for a world title fight, longer time to prepare, to get better, 5 rounds, that's not a problem.
And lastly, you've beat him.
Yes.
Where do you see weaknesses in his game?
There's not a ton. There's not a ton, honestly. Even in that fight, he's improved crazy since then. And even in that fight, I was like, this guy is incredible athlete. Like, when he says he's one of the best combat athletes that's ever done it, I mean, he's proven it. And there wasn't a ton of weaknesses. I just had to believe in my game against his game. I knew I could be more active than him. I knew I could be, a little more creative. I thought I'd be faster as well. So it's the same thing. When you're fighting the best guys in the world, there's no glaring weaknesses, honestly. There's X factors and there's small openings that you have to prepare for better. And that's really it. Like, I got the utmost respect for any champion. You don't see champions walking around, or even number 1 guys with really weaknesses. It's just what the hell ever happens in there at that time, in that 15 minutes. That's what happens, who's more prepared, who finds the openings.
Joe, even when the kick to the head connected and he didn't go down, you mentioned he had a chance to climb on top of you, but when he didn't, was that your sense that it has stunned him a little bit because you popped right back up? Yes.
I saw it stun him because the first time I fell on my butt, he came in and attacked me, and I saw him wobble. I kept my eyes on him as I fell, and he didn't come in, so it looked like he was trying to recover. But even with that, he obviously didn't, fall down, and I knew he was already trying to throw weird spins and stuff. So I was like, and my coaches actually told me before, you're going to hurt him, probably to the body. If you hurt him, he's going to get desperate and try to throw spins. So that just stuck in my head, and I was like, he's already hurt, and I'm already somewhat picking him apart, in this round. So just take your time and finish him. And then I picked every shot from there. And once he covered up, that's when I was able to really flurry on him. So, yeah, I saw it hurt him, and then I just knew I had to take my time. So it's a real, I guess, veteran move there, you know, that maybe I wouldn't have done as a younger guy, you know, but I felt really just comfortable in there. Even walking first, it was really cool. I haven't done that in forever. I'm usually the top-ranked guy. And I just, like, got my bearings in there. And I was able to really realize what the hell was happening. Like, usually I just go in. I'm like, oh, shit, there's another guy. Like, we're going to fight now. This time I was like, here we go. We're going to fight. I'm, like, looking at the fans, talking to my corner. And it just gave me kind of, like, a more peace of mind in there. So, yeah, I felt really calm in there, even, you know, during that finishing part.
Joe, back here.
Hello.
Your first fight with Cejudo was about 2.5 years ago, I believe. How would you say that matchup back then compares to, say, if you fight him end of this year?
Well, I think publicly, like the popularity, like that is the biggest thing that's changed. You know, we were both two of the top fighters back then at any weight. So, what else could I say? Like skill-wise, he's changed. Like I said, skill's a crazy thing. There's so much technicalities and stuff that go in it. I think a lot for him is when you become a champion, have the success he's been having, is he's confident right now. Like you don't see a drastic change like, oh my God, now he's, you know, an incredible boxer, incredible this or that. Like you get this certain confidence when you, I think, accomplish things and do all that kind of stuff with every fight. So he's been just fighting at a high level and he's a competitor. So I think he's really just starting to come into his own. Skill-wise, I can't say there's a ton that changed beside him having 2 belts. Like that is the biggest thing that's changed, and that's kind of like obvious to everybody. So, but for me as a competitor, I look at it the same way. You know, I thought I fought Formiga 2 years ago, and it was 6 years ago. So I'm still like I just beat Henry yesterday. That's how you look at it as a competitor. You know, you beat him, you know, have a win over him, and you know it can be done again.
So you're willing to sit out a little while to wait for Cejudo to recover and fight him next. If the UFC calls you and says, hey, if Pantoja, maybe the winner of Pantoja or Figueiredo, would you take that fight, or would you, again, just say no and wait for Cejudo?
See what they say when they call me. If that would happen, you know, you'd have to assess it. But, you know, I know you guys have to ask it, but it's hard thinking of especially things like that. You know, as a fighter, I'd be like, you know, I mean, it depends how they come at it. Oh, well, Cejudo's not going to do this, not going to do that. You know, this is what I do. If I think, you know, he's going to continue to avoid it, you know, you never know what I'd say. But, you know, right now and before this, I was planning on getting this win and fighting him. So until otherwise, I'll let you guys know.